Every time you step into a room, something shifts. It's not arrogance, it's not pride, it's divine favor that moves before you, speaks for you, and rearranges things around you without your permission. There are people who tried everything they could to discredit you, to knock you down, to scatter your name like dust in the wind, but none of it ever worked. Why? Because what's on your life can't be cracked. It's sealed. It's untouchable. You walk with an anointing that confuses the enemy. They send traps, and those same traps collapse in their faces. They push lies, and the lies fall apart at the weight of your truth. They plan in secret, but the heavens reveal every one of their schemes before it even unfolds. You're not protected by human forces, you're covered by something that can't be seen but is always felt. That's what makes you dangerous. That's what makes them afraid. You're not someone who begged to be chosen. You were selected before you even knew what the word favor meant. You didn't ask for this mantle. You didn't beg for this assignment, but it found you. And when it found you, everything around you started to change. People started acting funny, some got jealous, others tried to mimic the way you move, but they couldn't replicate your results because what you carry isn't taught, it's imparted. You operate under a divine frequency that blocks certain energies and exposes others. That's why betrayal doesn't break you. That's why delays don't defeat you. That's why fake love doesn't shake you. You've already been refined by fire. You've already been through things that should have taken you out, but instead they awakened the power within you. Your favor is built from scars. It's made from seasons of silence, moments where you had no one but God, and trials that felt like they were custom designed to destroy your spirit, but each one failed. You didn't just survive them, you grew. You leveled up. You learned how to spot the counterfeit before it even opens its mouth. You learned how to listen beyond what's being said. You learned how to move in silence and let results speak louder than your presence ever could. They thought your kindness was weakness, but what they didn't see was the warrior behind your stillness. What they didn't expect was the force of heaven that would erupt the moment they tried to touch what was never theirs to harm. You walk with a spiritual firewall around you. It's not always visible to others, but they feel it. That's why some people are uncomfortable around you without knowing why. Your energy exposes what's fake. Your light makes darkness uneasy. Your presence disturbs the spirits that have been hiding in plain sight. You don't chase validation because you're already affirmed. You don't chase opportunities, they find you. They're drawn to your oil, to your essence, to the way favor dances on your name. Doors that should have required connections were blown open without a knock. Rooms that should have rejected you made space because the atmosphere had already been prepared for your arrival. And it's not luck. It's not coincidence. It's divine orchestration. You were never overlooked. You were hidden. Hidden for protection. Hidden for preparation. Hidden so no one could mishandle what God was doing in you. While others were rushing to be seen, you were being sculpted behind the scenes. And now that you're stepping into your moment, your favor is undeniable. It's loud even when you're silent. It's powerful even when you're still. It moves through you, rests on you, and breaks things open around you. That's why some people can't stand you, and not because you did anything wrong, but because your favor makes them confront their lack of it. It reminds them of everything they pretended to be but couldn't sustain. You're walking through seasons others only dreamed of, but it's not because you skipped the process, it's because you honored it. You bled in silence. You cried without witnesses, you sowed in private, you sacrificed what others clung to. You chose growth when stagnation was easier, and now you're reaping in public. Now you're collecting interest on every tear, every rejection. Every night you sat with brokenness and chose to heal anyway. You carry a testimony that's etched into your being, and even though they don't know your full story, they can feel the weight of it. That's why they can't copy you. That's why they can't shake you. That's why favor clings to you like air, because you've been prepared for it, tested for it, trusted with it. You don't need to explain yourself to anyone. Your life speaks for itself. The way blessings chase you down isn't about material things, it's about the supernatural mark you carry. It's about the fact that you're covered in oil that can't be replicated or reversed. And when people try to curse you, it backfires. When they try to sabotage you, they end up digging their own holes. When they try to shut doors, God builds new ones. You're moving with authority that was earned through obedience. You're walking in a season where what tried to break you is now beneath your feet. The favor on your life is a declaration. No weapon formed against you shall prosper, not just because the weapon failed, but because you were too covered to be touched. You don't walk in fear, you walk in clarity, you walk in discernment, you walk with heaven's blueprint in your spirit. That's why you move differently. That's why you don't need to clap back or defend your name. You've got angels assigned to that. You've got divine backup that handles what you don't even see coming. You're not just favored, you're shielded. And that shield doesn't crack. It doesn't bend. It doesn't get tired. It's reinforced by every moment you kept the faith when everything in your life told you to quit. It's strengthened by the prayers you prayed when no one was watching. It's fortified by the purity of your intentions, even when others misjudged them. Your favor is wrapped in obedience, layered in integrity, and activated through alignment. You're not just walking into blessings, you're attracting them. Your energy, your story, your character, they're all a magnet for the miraculous. That's why you don't have to chase what's meant for you. It'll find you. No matter who tries to block it, it'll reach you. No matter how far they try to push you away, it'll show up, right on time. Because divine timing always favors the chosen. You don't have to lift a single finger for justice to unfold in your life, it's already in motion. Every lie that was told on your name, every trap they tried to set, every time they plotted behind your back, justice was already watching and documenting. You're not just covered, you're defended in a way that's completely out of human hands. The divine has been keeping receipts, and what they thought they got away with is being served back to them in ways they never expected. You're not fighting battles the way they want you to. You're not clapping back. You're not engaging in the chaos, because you already understand that when you're chosen, the fight is not yours, it's handled on your behalf. The higher you elevate, the less you're allowed to react, and you've learned that silence is your sharpest sword. When you step back, heaven steps forward, and nothing can stand against that. Your enemies misjudged your silence as weakness. They thought your peace meant you had no power. What they didn't realize is that your restraint was rooted in divine instruction. You've been told to sit still while storms rage. You've been instructed to say nothing while your character is tested in rooms you've never entered. You've had to watch people you trusted twist truths, walk away, laugh at your pain, and think they got away with it. But what they didn't know was that every single act of betrayal, every manipulation, every false narrative was being weighed in a scale that's invisible to the human eye. There's a reason things haven't touched you the way they intended. There's a reason none of their tactics worked. Divine justice doesn't always show up loud. Sometimes it moves in whispers, in delays, in redirections, and then suddenly, it shows up in undeniable ways. They wanted you to fall. They celebrated at the thought of your failure. They even tried to help orchestrate it. But your life is proof that no matter how many times someone tries to sabotage your steps, they can't rewrite what was already ordained for you. The script they tried to write ended up crumbling, because divine authorship always overrides human manipulation. You've been carried through attacks you never even knew were coming. You've been protected from decisions that would have ruined others. You've been preserved in moments that should have drowned you. And the most powerful part of it is that you never had to fight in the traditional way. You never had to lower your energy or become what hurt you. You remained in alignment. And alignment activates supernatural justice like nothing else can. The same mouths that try to bury you will be forced to witness your elevation. The same hands that tried to block your path will be empty while you're handed what they tried to steal. The same eyes that rolled when your name was mentioned will have no choice but to watch your blessings unfold. And it won't be because you sought revenge. It won't be because you tried to prove anything. It will be because justice has a memory, and it doesn't forget who was loyal, who was faithful, who kept walking when everything in them wanted to stop. You didn't retaliate, you rose. You didn't curse back, you prayed harder. You didn't match energy and you protected your own. And that kind of power is rare. That kind of posture is what separates the chosen from the common. There are people who thought they could get away with what they did to you. They mistook your grace for gullibility. They didn't know you were being instructed to let it go. Not because they deserved mercy, but because justice was being prepared behind the scenes. The thing about divine justice is that it doesn't just address the wrong at risk towards what was stolen. It replaces what was damaged. It heals what was bruised. You're not just going to see your enemies handled, you're going to see yourself healed in the process. You're going to look back at those who wronged you and realize they were never your true battle. Your growth was. And in choosing growth, you activated the kind of retribution that doesn't come from bitterness, but from divine order. You are being avenged in ways that feel unreal. Conversations are shifting without you being in the room. People who believed lies about you are suddenly seeing the truth. Those who mocked you are being humbled, not by your hand, but by the weight of the truth finally landing. And you're not celebrating their downfall, you're simply walking in the freedom that comes with knowing the truth always wins. The people who tried to write you off are watching the very things they declared impossible for you start happening with ease. The ones who threw your name in the dirt are realizing that favor isn't earned by status, but by heart posture. And your heart has remained pure in storms that could have poisoned anyone else. They never expected the way things would turn. They thought the silence meant the plan was working. They didn't see that the silence was sacred. They didn't realize the stillness was a setup for your slingshot moment. You were being pulled back, not to be kept down, but to be launched forward with acceleration they could never match. And now, things are shifting. Evidence is surfacing. Your name is being cleared. The weight of what was done to you is being returned to the sender. But you're not watching with vengeance in your heart, you're watching with peace, because justice doesn't always look like punishment. Sometimes it looks like promotion. Sometimes it looks like being elevated in front of those who hope you'd disappear. You're not waiting on apologies, you're walking in alignment. You're not desperate for recognition, you're surrounded by confirmation. You've learned to be okay with not being understood because favor needs no explanation. You've come too far to argue with with people who never knew the depth of your journey. You've cried too many nights to beg anyone to see your worth, and now, you don't have to say a word. Your fruit is speaking, your presence is loud, your peace is louder, and just to say it's screaming, not in rage, but in clarity, not in revenge, but in reward. The people who threw stones never imagined you'd be the one standing tall, holding the keys, shining with a glow that can't dim. The laws of the universe respond differently to those who are chosen, and when you are walking in divine alignment, the justice system of heaven begins to operate on a frequency that the world can't intercept or understand. While your enemies are busy manipulating earthly systems, trying to twist narratives, forge alliances, or exploit loopholes, there's another court in session, one that isn't influenced by bias, bribery, or brokenness. That court sees everything, knows everything, and moves with precision and swiftness when the time is right, and when it moves fast. Justice doesn't just trickle down, it floods, overtakes, and reclaims what was lost, stolen, or delayed. You don't have to argue, beg, or scream to be heard. Your cries have already been documented, your faith has already been logged, your obedience is already marked on record, and heaven is responding accordingly. When you're chosen, your enemies don't just deal with you, they deal with the full weight of the forces backing you. What they think is a simple plan to disrupt your flow turns into a full investigation by the spiritual realm. The intentions behind their actions are exposed. The roots of their envy are unearthed. The secret group chats, the whispered slander, the hidden agendas. None of it is hidden to the divine. And justice doesn't just deal with the fruit of evil, it burns the root. It clears the soil. It ensures that what tried to destroy you doesn't rise again in another form. You've been walking under a covering that makes wrongs impossible to remain buried. You've been surrounded by a force that brings light into darkness and truth into confusion. This isn't karma, this is divine order re-establishing itself. You've probably noticed the shift. Situations that once felt stuck are suddenly unraveling in your favor. People who were once against you are suddenly silent or strangely distant. It's not coincidence. It's not random. It's divine interference. The supernatural justice system doesn't wait for the right conditions, it creates them. It doesn't ask permission. It doesn't delay. When the moment is activated, everything begins to move. Conversations start turning. Lies begin to dissolve. False support is removed. Manipulators are caught up in their own games. What was once murky becomes transparent. The fog clears, the tables turn, and you, the one who was ridiculed, doubted, and dismissed, find yourself positioned exactly where you were meant to be all along. And the most mind-blowing part is, you don't even have to announce it. You don't have to tell people what's happening. You don't have to justify why blessings are suddenly raining over your life. Justice speaks louder than words. It reveals itself in ways no human defense ever could. You're walking into moments that were orchestrated for your vindication. You're stepping into the territories that your enemies declared off limits. The very places they tried to lock you out of are opening for you with ease. The very systems they tried to use against you are now malfunctioning on their side. Why? Because divine justice doesn't need permission to reverse what's out of alignment. You were never fighting a natural battle. That's why nothing ever made logical sense. That's why the attacks seemed too precise, the slander too organized, the betrayal too calculated. You were never dealing with just people, you were dealing with spirits behind people. You were confronting generational patterns, ancestral resistance, and spiritual warfare that activated the moment you started walking in your calling. But what the enemy underestimated was your endurance. You didn't fold when you were isolated. You didn't break when you were misrepresented. You didn't curse back when you were publicly humiliated. You held your ground. You held your faith. You kept building, even when everything around you tried to make you stop. And that kind of obedience unlocks a justice that's aggressive and exact. This justice doesn't just repay you for what was lost, it multiplies it. It returns double for every tear. It brings restoration to places of deep damage. It turns ashes into beauty and sorrow into strength. You're not just getting even, you're getting elevated. And the people who tried to mock your faith are being forced to witness your reward, not out of pettiness, but as a demonstration of what happens when someone stays faithful in the fire. You're a living testimony that heaven always keeps score, that nothing is missed, that silence doesn't mean absence and stillness doesn't mean weakness. The time they thought you were stuck was actually a moment of recalibration. The moments they thought you were invisible were seasons of divine protection. There's a reason the atmosphere feels like it's shifting in your favor. It's because it is. There's a reason things are suddenly aligning. There's a reason clarity is hitting harder than confusion. Because when justice moves, it clears everything that once blocked your vision. You can see the traps now before they're set. You can sense the energy before it speaks. You can discern the spirit behind the smile. And that discernment is another layer of justice, a divine mechanism to protect what you've fought so hard to heal. You're not being given just external justice, you're receiving internal stability. You're being anchored in truth. You're being affirmed by heaven. You're being recalibrated with precision. What once triggered you no longer phases you, because the battles you used to fight are beneath your current elevation. This is the season where justice will not just answer, it will pursue. You won't have to chase validation. You won't need to prove your case. You won't need to revisit the pain. Justice is running after the very situations that once haunted you. It's speaking on your behalf in rooms you were locked out of. It's bringing correction to places you were misunderstood. And it's preparing a stage where your name will be honored, not because of status, but because of the integrity you held when no one was watching. Your reward is not just restoration, it's recognition from the divine itself. It's knowing that no matter who tried to delay it, the divine has the final word. And when that word is spoken, nothing and no one can override it. You've come through storms that were designed to break you, yet here you are, stronger, wiser, and covered in a favor that defies logic. You didn't just survive the trials, you outgrew the spaces that tried to contain you. You didn't have to match the energy of those who came against you, because you understood something deeper, that when you're truly chosen, your battles are fought in higher realms. You were never alone. The resistance you faced was confirmation of the power within you. The setbacks were setups. The silence was sacred. And now, the shift you feel isn't just spiritual, it's prophetic. Justice has been triggered. Favor has been activated. And every weapon formed against you is turning into fuel for your elevation. Stay in alignment. Stay in peace. Let the supernatural continue to handle what your hands no longer have to. Thank you for staying with me through this message. If this spoke to your soul, if it awakened something deep inside you, and know it was meant to, your journey is sacred, your purpose is protected, and your story is not over, it's just starting to unfold in a new way. Keep walking, keep trusting, keep glowing with a fire they can't extinguish. Until next time, stay powerful, stay chosen, and stay true to the light within you. Thank you and much love.